Okay, I think live. Got to test the stream. Hello, hello. Okay, gotta test the sound real quick. I feel like the sound is good, but you know, still gotta test these things, right? One day on time, but that day is not today. That day is not today. Come on. Come on, app. Why won't you show me your secrets? Come on. Oh, hey, Colin. Nice sword. Yeah, it's yours, buddy. Okay, so, well, not necessarily going to get these while trying to reconnect. Oh, man, that's lame. Okay, what do we got? Yeah, I really need to get a friggin' Ethernet down here. What is it? Google is using my microphone. Okay. Why is this not working? Okay. Yes, it is a nice sword. All right. Well, I guess I'll put this one away for now because that's going to be the secondary project. And hopefully you guys can hear me. If you can't, I don't know how you would even let me know that. What is going on? Why will you not? Okay. Okay, can't even check my own stream. What the hell? Maybe if I switch accounts. Okay, I can hear you. Okay, well, I guess I don't need confirmation then. All right, so what I'm going to be doing today is getting my camera in position, hopefully. Yep. Okay. Okay, camera up here is a little laggy. Resolution is good, so I guess setting it to 4K 30 FPS is not bad. I mean, do I really need unstable internet connection? Well, I guess we're just gonna have to live with that. If the stream disconnects briefly, then I suppose we're just going to have to live with that. Let's see, get this wire out of the way. You can tell it's a very professional operation I'm running here. Okay, I think it's not in frame anymore. Yeah. And then let's put this off to the side here. Okay, so today I have been asked to dye this handle black. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to take some acetone and try to strip the finish off of this. And then hopefully we can dye it black and then reapply some nice oil finish to seal it up again, and maybe some sealer once it's all all done. I think what's going to happen is the finish is going to soak into this wire wrap and then I'm going to kind of brush over it. And what'll happen is the dye will stay in the recesses, and then we'll reveal kind of a nice, like a nice brushed look on this thing, because it'll be scraped off the surface, so the dye will be removed from the surface, and then it'll stay underneath. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get started by grabbing some plastic, some slightly heavier duty plastic that hopefully the acetone doesn't melt. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to use plastic at all. I am going to use this stone here, because I know acetone will not melt this thing, but it might melt anything plastic that I put underneath. So we're going to get us some paper towel. We're going to get us some acetone. As tempting as it is, we're not going to smell it because we like our brain cells. Even though volatile chemicals smell delicious. Okay, that's some of that. And yep, I'm going to start wiping this off. Yep, I can see. You can see it's coming off already. So that should hopefully let the dye, the black dye, penetrate this and really soak into there. Sorry, Javen. I know you like your swords, but I was specifically asked to modify this one. Yeah, so once that is a little more dry, I can see that the color is coming off the surface, or the like baked on paint finish is coming off. And that will help. Yeah, that feels like unfinished leather again. That will help the dye penetrate into this leather and get it all nice and black. And then we'll use a water-based finish on top we'll use a water-based finish to add a little bit of protection. If I had some kind of like nano coat, I would put that on, but that stuff is real expensive, like super duper expensive. So we're gonna have to settle for the finishes available to us right now. I'll put this off to the side. I'm not going to be knocking it with the sword, because that is a distinct possibility. Okay, and I'm going to have to re-oil this later. I will be wiping this off so my fingerprints don't get all over it. You know what? I should maybe wear some gloves. Let's do that. Give some contrast to my hand. Okay, now that that's mostly stripped, let's find if there are any excess spots that need a little more love. Okay, feels like I'm watching one of those TikTok live feed sales where they package your purchase on stream. That's pretty funny. Yay! Oh man, I mean, I've come across some like live TikTok. Are they TikTok? I don't even have TikTok. I've come across some like YouTube live things. YouTube just like face cam lives, or doing whatever lives. I know what you're talking about. but I never watch them. So maybe it's because they're not engaging. Maybe it's because the people aren't talking. But yeah, I always click off of them right away because I don't find them interesting. Maybe you're just sticking around because I happen to be working on your specific item. But thanks for being in the chat. And like you said, it makes it a lot less awkward than just talking to myself. So put this in the garbage. Blow that off the table. Get it off my keyboard. Okay, now we're going to get a plastic sheet because I don't think... Sorry about blowing on the mic there. Yeah, saying very repetitive. I know. Okay. We're going to keep this lighter away from the acetone because that could be bad. We're going to keep this other lighter over here also away from the acetone. Hopefully we're done with the acetone for tonight. I think, based on the coloring on this, that it has been sufficiently stripped. So I'm going to slide on the glove to get all medical. And I am going to grab some dye. Because we're not just dying on the inside tonight, we're dying on the outside. This is fun to watch. I'm not very handy, so I'm learning. Yeah, fair enough. Believe me, I was not very handy until I was like, you know what? And I don't really know if I could call myself handy. A lot of the stuff that I've done, like, here's a big secret, a not so big secret maybe, about any kind of installation. The installation instructions are usually on the packaging. And as long as you kind of follow them and don't deviate too far, I mean, you can get a little creative. It'll probably turn out fairly well. Like when I put insulation up in the walls of my garage, it's like, man, I have no idea how to do this. It's like, but on the packaging, it's like, this is how you cut out for an electrical box. This is how you cut out for a wire. You cut like a wedge, and you tuck it behind and push the wire up against it. Like, wow, okay. So for a lot of this stuff, once you understand the principle, it's just kind of a matter of MacGyvering so that it fits your specific situation. Okay, I'm gonna undo my cuffs here. So in case I get dye all over them, in case I get dye on my forearms. Okay, so all right, this makes me look a little bit less like an assassin and more like I'm, trying to do some crafty stuff here. I'll be right back. Okay, got my dye here. Just gonna expand my work area just a teeny tiny little bit. Normally this whole surface would be covered, but since I'm only going to be really doing dye here, I only feel the need to cover this part. Okay, I'm going to open this up. Okay, I'll just tilt that a little bit. And moment of truth, does the dye take? Okay, yeah, it looks like it is penetrating a little bit. Hopefully, yeah, I think this is going to work. Looks like I have sufficiently opened up sufficiently removed the finish and opened up the grain so that it is accepting the dye. The nice thing about this stuff is that since it's an oil and alcohol dye, since I have removed the protective film that was on here, it should just penetrate into the now open pores. Okay. I'm going to do around here first. Yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter is, like, as far as learning this stuff, I watched a bunch of videos. It's like, there's a channel for a leather supply vendor called Weaver Leathercraft, and man, the guy that does the videos for that is really, really funny. He's got I'm going to say like a Tennessee accent. You know what? I'm terrible with my American accents. I know that there's a ton of them, and if you were an American or an American, you could tell which part of America that all of the accents are from. But I am not one of those people. Okay, so some of this is going to get on the handle, but we are going to be able to wipe that off pretty quick. Usually I use a slightly larger dauber. It shows. So I'm going to let this soak into this handle wrap, and hopefully it'll go through and color it. I think the acetone penetrated through the handle wrapping, so hopefully that works out. And I can just use the excess here to really like work this in. I ideally don't want to see any of the original color before I start doing the removing the dye from the actual handle. So I'm just going to use all this excess that leaked out to really work that in there. Even if I hadn't stripped this, because of the type of dye it is, this may have gone through and actually colored it anyways. But yeah, this is looking pretty good, not gonna lie. Obviously you can't see it in person, but I think you're going to be pretty happy with this. Really work that in there. Make sure it gets up underneath the little fold over. Same down here. Okay. This is an interesting way of doing this. Like, obviously I don't have a ton of experience with how sword handles are made, but I'm guessing there's a seam in here somewhere, because this is like, or maybe they sewed it, and then yeah, I don't even know that I'm going to need to, because like the oil is obviously not going to penetrate the it's obviously not going to penetrate the wire. I might just need to just like do a basic brush off. Okay, so I think we're done with this, at least for now. Ooh, yeah, I kind of let that get away from me. Should have been a little bit more careful there. You know, I might grab some alcohol and try to soak up the excess. Yeah, there was a time when I would have done this with no gloves on. So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. My hands will just be black. And then people are like, bro, what's up with your hands? I'm like, lack of forethought. That's what's up with my hands. That is what is up with my hands. Yeah, see, this comes off real nice. And if it turns out that it doesn't come off completely, I'll just carefully use some alcohol to remove the excess. There's a little spot there that the acetone didn't get. I don't know if it's going to take the dye, hopefully. The black wire is going to look so cool. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, it's a twisted, let me see. Take a look at that. Looks like it's a double strand twisted wire. So the black is going to settle in between the twisted strands, but it's not really that prominent on the surface. Like, it gives it a nice shadow effect, if that makes sense. I don't know if you can really see it. Let's see if I can bring it up to the camera so you can take a better look. Hopefully that autofocuses. I think this is what people do to get their cameras to autofocus. Does the hand help? Yeah, that helps a little bit. See, you can kind of see it's in the recesses now. Okay. I learned that trick to get the camera to autofocus from people painting Warhammer minis and putting them up against their hand. Okay, I'll put this away for now because I think excellent. That's what I thought. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a double rub on here. I might actually wait to do the finish until tomorrow because this stuff cures best overnight. It's funny. I made a few black belts at some point, and I made the mistake of I made a few oil dyed belts, and I made the mistake of not letting them cure. Like I tried to put an oil finish or like an oil wax finish on the same day, and man, did they bleed! It was not good. Let's just put it that way. I got some comments, yo, your belt kind of bled on my pants. I'm like, shit. So now, when I do dyes like this, I try to make sure that it gets at least 24 hours to fully cure. That way, like all of the excess, like the oil can really kind of attach to the fibers and all the alcohol comes out. So once it's fully cured, if you put an oil finish on, it might transfer a tiny little bit. What I'll usually do is I'll run a heat gun over it and then I'll bake in the oil and wax. Once it seems like it's got a decent amount of like flexibility from the oil and wax, I'll do like a final coat and just kind of massage in. It looks real funny. It kind of looks like I'm trying to choke a piece of leather when I'm doing it. And then I will take a piece of paper towel and like really vigorously rub the back of it. See if there's any transfer. And once I'm satisfied that there's no transfer, it doesn't tend to transfer as much from the front because the grain is more open. I use a glue on the back, and then I'll put on the back a what's called Wrestling, which is a plastic finish. So I might just leave this off to the side for now. And by leave this off to the side, I mean turn it around so that I can now pattern out the tip. So I'm going to put this away for now. Okay, we'll just take this off of here. You know what? My X-Acto knife is up in my backpack, which is not down here, so I'm going to be like 30 seconds going to get it. Now I know what you're thinking. Number one, he's back. Number two, like, why didn't he prepare for this? That is why I have a dinky little YouTube channel with 2 viewers, and some people have massive YouTube channels where they do basically nothing with tons and tons and tons of viewers. I'm sure they did a lot of stuff to get to that point where they have a ton of viewers. But yeah, I see some of those like TikTok like things where it's like, what the hell is this person even doing? Like, they're barely even talking. They're just kind of. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The crab or the fishing videos are super funny. It's like, oh, the ocean. I mean, I can't really compete with the ocean. It's just too soothing. All right. Okay, so I'm going to grab some grid paper and just roughly cut out This is an 1/8 inch grid that you can find from I just took it from the internet, as one does. So, all right, Colin, I know you're watching. So how far down do you want the tip to go? Because it's going to be like a fold over. It's going to be basically, how to put it? I think I'm going to wet it and try to wrap it as much here as possible. And then I'm going to come in, stitch as close to the edges as I can. And then it should, how to put it? It's just going to hold itself in place. And you're right. I think it'll prevent it from glancing off of stuff, if that makes sense. Because the tip will kind of like skid off the jacket. But with a leather tip, I feel like it'll catch on stuff and, give you that, yo bro, I got you. Can you do like half square longer down? So you want it, can you do like half a square longer? So how about this? Or do you want it to go down to here? Because I'm thinking like from here to here, I don't know that you would need or want any more than that, frankly. But if you do want that, I'll I'll do more. Yeah, I think right, it should be good. Okay, cool. So I will go grab a leather scrap. Yeah, odd projects like this are good because they give me a chance to use some of the odd pieces. Like, look at this. What am I going to use this for? Besides some oddball project like something like this, Okay, so it seems fairly substantial. The sticker off of there. Oof. Okay, so we have to lean over this table a little bit. You know what? I'm going to take this closer to me because I'm sure what you want to see is the back of my head. That's what everybody wants to see. They tell me all the time. Okay, line that up like that. Make sure it's all even. Okay, line it up in the middle. Okay, now the time for the boring, pedantic. Just getting this all lined up. You know what? I should really line this up in the middle of one of these grid lines to make my life a little bit easier. I think that's about in the middle. Okay, we are. This is 1 7/8. Actually, it might be easier for me to do it like this. No, that's a little off there. Let's try another one. Four. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna have to get in frame a little bit. Okay, so that is. Okay, I think that's about even on either side. I think so. It's hard to tell with this thing. All right, I think that's as good as we're going to get. Yeah, because it's not perfectly symmetrical, but we can work with this. Now we're going to take our wing dividers. We're going to run along the edge of this. What should we do? 1/8 of an inch? Yeah, 1/8 of an inch sounds good. And then I can put the stitch lines in there. You know what? To account for the thickness, let's do 3/16 of an inch. And then I can always just try to get it. Yeah, that's 3/16. Okay, so I'm just going to run this along here. We're just going to freehand this. Make sure we got one point along the line. And the other point is digging into the paper. Yeah, the funny thing about some of this stuff is there's not actually a ton of measuring going on. Looks good. Okay. So yeah, it's mostly just taking reference points and then kind of building it out, like determining how far away from like a point you want something to be. So let's say we can probably get it to kind of go over about that much. And then, yeah, let's say here. So same thing on the other side. Okay, right on the line, do that. Yeah, we're getting a lot of the back of my head. But I think I need to figure out a better angle to capture some of this stuff, because unfortunately for you guys, A lot of this involves looking at something fairly quickly. And I wish I had some like dentist goggles that have like some magnification and a super far away focal point relative to where your eye is. But those things cost like $1,500 a pair. It's insane. I guess that's what happens when you have like a really niche industry or niche application. You can charge insane amounts of money for those products. Oh, okay, I think I was a little too enthusiastic there. So you can see, if you're looking at the back of this, you can kind of see the impression. And through the magic of using tape to make sure this doesn't come apart, we are going to reinforce this. Frankly, I should have used tape from the get-go. This is some excess tuck tape from when I was putting insulation up in the garage. This stuff is super sticky, so we're going to make nice and careful that we lay it flat, and we're not going to care if we get our fingers stuck to it a little bit. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to grab some scissors to cut this out. Oh, there's 3 of you now. Who's the 3rd one? Well, whoever you are, number 3, say hello, or hello to you rather. And yeah, I think we're going to. Okay, I should at least get rid of the excess here so that I'm not dealing with a bunch of super sticky tuck tape. I can actually handle it. Yeah, whoever that 3rd person is, feel free to say hello in the chat. And if you don't, well, that's cool too. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Should make this a little bit easier to deal with. Four now. Holy cow. What the heck? Again, if you're a new viewer, feel free to say hello. It's always easier if there's somebody actually saying something instead of just me talking to myself. I mean, I appreciate Colin's input, don't get me wrong. But even with just him, it kind of makes it sound like I'm an insane person just talking to myself, which, you know, would probably be true on any other occasion. Okay, so okay, see the offset now. Let me just mark that with a pen so that I'm making sure that I've got it nice and good for when I cut it out. A little bit right there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this pattern that we just made. We're going to put it on a piece of leather, and we are going to mirror it. Oh, you can hear me. That's good. What are your plans for your longsword handle repair? Well, my first plan is to strip it, see what kind of condition it's in, because I suspect it has taken quite a bit of damage. We'll see what it needs to look like a decent piece of equipment again, and then we will go from there, because I currently have no idea, but I did kind of peel it back just a little bit, and it I think there was some kind of epoxy that they put on to create some volume. So we'll see about that. Oh, I may have cut a little bit too much here. That's okay. Okay, so we're just going to go straight up from here. See if we can't. 5. Whoa. That's the most people I've ever had. No, that's not true. I had 13 that one time, and then I absolutely messed up and had to restart the stream because I selected mobile as my broadcast broadcast initially, and that was no good. That was a huge mess up on my part, and I'm going to tell you, it feels bad. Okay, you know, I could probably bring that in a tiny little bit. All right, so I'm going to draw this on here, select a nice, okay, can I use this part? Is there enough material to actually mirror it? Yes, I think there is if I do it like right here. Right here. So, and we can always adjust on the fly. I mean, it's not a super big deal that I'm messing up this pattern a teeny tiny little bit because a lot of it's just going to get covered by black dye. It's the nice thing about any kind of fabrication. As long as you just got the basic stuff down, you can often go back and just like fix or cover up your mistakes. It's like it was a happy little accident, like Bob Ross. Well, not that Bob Ross was a happy accident, but he had happy accidents, and he made the best of it. Okay. All right, that's looking good. So now we have enough space to mirror this, which I'm going to do right here. I don't know if this really makes for good TV or good viewing if I'm obstructing the field of vision constantly with my head and my hands. I feel like I need some different camera angles to work on. Maybe down the line. Yeah, I definitely need to run some hardwire Ethernet down here because the Wi-Fi is a little bit laggy. Might not be bad for you guys, but this computer is struggling. Let's put it that way. All right. Oh, 3 people. Well, thanks for stopping by, the other 2. I really appreciate it. I hope you saw something and that you were a little confused for a second, but slightly entertained. Okay, so just cutting this out. This is like the boring part. I don't know if there's a ton of narration that I could really do in this part to make it more exciting. I guess just talking in general is captivating. Maybe not captivating. That's probably the wrong word. Engaging. Yeah, there we go. Gotta engage with the audience. At least that's what I've been led to believe. Okay. So let us wet this with a spray bottle, and then we can kind of start molding it over. The nice thing about this stuff is that once it's wet, it's fairly easy to just, it becomes kind of plasticky. Well, not plastic, like really, really easy to kind of massage. Massage into shape. Okay. So for this, my plan is to kind of put it on here, fold it over, and then I'm going to use my French edger to remove a little bit of material right there. Thin that out a little bit so it's easier to fold. Kind of take a little bit of a gouge out. And then that should help me fold it over a little bit. And once it is folded over, I am going to sew it in place. And then I am going to, oh yeah, I think that's going to work out real nice. I'm actually going to clamp this in place, let it dry a little bit, stitch it, then I'll round over the edges. You know what, let me make my stitch lines now. And then I will yeah, this is going to kind of be a going on the fly kind of deal. So yeah, let me mark my stitch lines now, about halfway in. And that'll help it pull into a nice configuration. So I'm going to do one side up and down this way, mark the mark on here, do my stitch lines, and then fold it over, clamp it. I'll use an awl to punch through to the other side. And then, okay, let me just get rid of all this stuff. Onto the floor with you. Put this back in here. Give this a little clean off, and then put its sheet back on. Okay. Kind of brush this stuff off to the side. Okay, I'm done with these. I'm done with the scissors. I'm done with the wing divider. I gotta work on cleaning up my workspace. Okay, so I'm just gonna sneak under this table. Move this so you can't see me. So you can't see me. Can you see me? Ooh. Okay. Perfect. Yes. Now, as I sneak under the table sneakily, it'll be subtle, and you won't see me sneak under here. Okay, a little more, just the frame, Ah, perfect. There we go. Sneaky time. Well, you can hear me rummaging through my drawer off to the side. Okay. All right, in the light, I can see. You know what? Let me do this with the 2-prong. I don't know if it'll work like that. Yeah, I think I'll have to do it mirrored here. Right. Yeah, not very engaging, I know. No, I really am one of those TikTok videos. No. Got to be more engaging instead of just. Yeah, oh no, everyone's gone now. Oh well, whatever. The show must go on. Okay. There we go. So, where's my maul? Now I need my cutting board. Okay, all the way through. Okay, now I am actually punching stitching holes that made. And at some point in the not too distant future, I'm going to have to look up to see what kind of coloring was wanted on here. I believe it was black and yellow. I think that'll still be possible. I may have to do the yellow in paint though, like an acrylic paint. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good. What about this side? Okay, so these are just punched. Now, wouldn't that be something? Learning to use my hammer with my left hand because it's easier to set these holes up with my right hand. No, I should learn to align the punch with my left. It's tough doing some of this stuff because you're better at certain things with certain hands, right? And I happen to be better at lining stuff up with my right, but I'm also better at hammering. So I'll have to settle for. Can't have it both ways. Right, now I'm going to grab some thread. I'll quickly clean this off, wipe it on my shirt, make sure it's not wet before I put this back in its holder. This is the make sure it doesn't stab into all my other stuff holder. If you're watching, Colin, do you want black or white thread? I think black thread makes more sense, actually. So we're going to do black thread. This is going to be some nice, heavy... You know what? I don't know that it needs to be heavy-duty thread. Whatever. I'll use heavy-duty thread anyways. That'll... Black thread, please. Okay, perfect. And I'll use the heavy-duty thread, because why not? I need to use the rest of this spool anyways. Yeah, black thread will make it easier to dye. So, since I need to do an independent stitch on either side, I'm actually going to end up using 4 pieces of thread. Not 4 pieces of thread. 2 pieces of thread with 4 needles. Doing a bit of thread we take the length of the stitch and then we quadruple it in length. Okay, that's 3, that's 4. And then I like to add another section at the end I like to add another section at the end just to give myself a little more leeway to work with. Okay, so we're going to take this length of thread. I know it seems like a lot, but it'll go quick, especially because we're double layering this. And then I'm just going to clone that amount, approximately. Okay. Put this away. Just going to shove it back in our sewing kit. And I'm going to grab 2 more needles. Two more needles. This is a thread lock, so I'm going once here. Once like that. Then I'm going to stick it through again. Can you see that? You can't see that. Yeah, like that. And then we're going to pull it through, and it's going to end up looking like that. And that holds the thread nice and in place while we do our stitches. So I'm going to do that with the other side. I'm not going to show it. Not going to show it with this other one because I've already showed it if you rewind by a few seconds. Who is that third viewer? It can't be me because I don't have my stream on. If you're number 3, say hello. Looks like there's 2 people right now. I'm currently working on putting a leather tip on this longsword right here. Yeah, say hello. You don't have to say your name. Just drop a hey in the chat. Unless you're shy, in which case I understand. I'm not going to pretend that talking to myself on camera isn't super weird. So there's that. Okay, so we're going to do that. Going to expand these. Okay, so I am going to push this needle through here. And then it is going to go back out this way. Right? And then it's going to go through here. And probably going to have to keep expanding these to get some nice action going on. Go through here. And then back this way. Okay, and you can see here we've got even lengths of thread on either side. So before I put this on the end. I'm just going to give this a little tighten right there. That should kind of pull it into place. All right. Pull that into place like that. So we get it all nice and tight. It'll tighten up as it is used. Now, like I said, this is the first time I'm doing this, so hopefully it works out. Maybe I should have thinned the inside a little more or used a little more of a round over. But if it doesn't work out, I can chalk it up to inexperience, because like I said, this is the first time I'm doing one of these. And then we can try again. Oh, I don't want to have it like that, though. That is not what I want. There'll be too much thread exposed on the outside. Okay, so we're going to put this through like this. Just through like that. Okay, through that, through that. Someone keeps jumping in, but I don't know who they are. Take your coat off, stay a while. 4 people, another one. Whoa. You know, I'm sure this would be more entertaining if I were more entertaining, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. Need to be a little bit more engaging. Okay, so they're from the same side. Okay. They're like that. Okay, I'm going to get that. And I think this is the last one we'll be able to do before we have to actually put this thing on. Making it look so easy. Oh, goodness. I don't know about that, man. This is, like I said about the doing installation based on construction material, or the instructions of the construction materials. It's really just, I kind of know where I'm going, and it's like anything, really. You kind of make small corrections as you go. As long as you don't overcommit, then you can still kind of back up a lot of the time. And I'm not, the stitching is definitely not going to be up to my standard, because normally I'd be doing something called casting your stitches to make sure they're symmetrical and all going in one direction. But this is this operation requires more brain power than I can muster at the moment. So you're not going to get super duper pretty stitching, unfortunately. And I apologize in advance, but that's just kind of going to be the way it's going to be today. All right, I'm going to put a clamp back on here to hold this in place. Hopefully it doesn't skip off this time. Actually, you know what? I might have to move this over, because it's kind of difficult to... Yeah, I'm just kind of shoving stuff off camera. With the workspace available, it's kind of difficult to manipulate this, because usually I would have like a stitching pony, but it's not easy because of the way this is shaped, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't make any sense to you, actually, but that's okay. Actually, you know what? Now that this handle is dry, take a look at that. Let's see. That is looking pretty nice. And the dye really just settled into the nooks in between here. I guess it dried and thinned itself out a little bit. So it's really not super obvious, but you can kind of see it in there a little bit. Okay, I might actually just have to rest this up against the table and kind of do it that way. Okay, so what I might have to do is put this on, use a heat gun to let it dry, and then take it off. Make sure that that it hasn't rusted the sword at all, because that is a possibility. And then once it's all, I have to hot set it basically. So I'm gonna keep plugging away at this. Yeah, I know, it is nice. Like it turned out better than I thought it was going to. Yeah, there's basically no rhyme or reason to the thread order on this. It's not going to be the most professional looking, but that's what you get when you are doing science, experimenting with technique and all that stuff. Science with an exclamation mark. Okay, push that through there. You know what? I think this is actually going to turn out really well. But it will be a little bit more involved because, yeah, I'll get this all nice and tight, and then I will hot set it. And then I'll actually have to take it apart just to make sure that it's not like, I just don't want any rust to get under here. And then once it's all nice and set, I'll cut it off and then restitch it, because this stuff kind of takes the shape of what you're making it into as you stitch it in place. Okay, I need little pliers. Okay. Maybe I can bring this camera a little bit. Oop. Okay, maybe I can bring this camera more so that you can actually see what's going on here. What is the point of making a camera on a boom arm if I'm not going to actually use the boom arm? This thing is like super MacGyver too. It's actually 2 flexible arm camera stands with tension ball joints that are, I removed the tension ball joint. I removed the base of one of them and just kind of joined them, and now it's got like a base with a tension clamp with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 joints and 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Yeah, it's quite the piece of equipment. The very definition of an off-label usage. Trying my best to keep this in place so that you can actually still see what I'm doing here. You know what? I guess I could just rotate this as I go. Nope, that is not good. Yeah, I'm trying to balance actually getting this done and making a nice viewing experience. And I feel like I'm kind of half doing both. I definitely need to improve the lighting though, because that is a big thing. But I've got the sound covered, sort of. Actually, let me bring this microphone a little bit closer so that you can hear me a little bit better. I am using an Amazon Basics conference microphone. If I wanted to, be a professional and whatnot, I should probably be using a wireless lavalier microphone or a wired boom arm microphone. But I am not super duper professional. I'm still kind of learning this stuff. Eventually, once my other computer is set up and I get the Wi-Fi chip to work, because I installed Linux on it over the weekend, I think I forgot to install some drivers because I am not a smart person. Yeah, definitely forgot to. I think I selected the wrong installation package and excluded third-party software, thinking, oh, third-party software bad. It's like, oh, no, that's the drivers for the hardware. Like, oh, okay. So I played myself. Not surprised. Not surprised. Yeah, it's actually looking pretty decent. If I were to do it again, though, I would give myself a little bit extra on the side. Like I would make, I take into account more the round over here, which I could probably trim off. But yeah, I'd give myself a little bit more room on the side because I don't know that this 1 1/5, or sorry, 3/16 stitching offset is sufficient. Well, we'll see how long it lasts, and if it is not, I will know that I probably need 2/8 of an inch offset, and then I'll put the stitching line at 1/8 of an inch instead of 2/32 of an inch. But yeah, if this works, I suspect that it will last a very long time. To the point where you may never need to replace it. Because I think the odds of this coming off are slim to none. In fact, if my sword needed one of these, I might just do this myself. Or for myself. But my longsword is super duper chunky. So it's got a really hefty rolled tip. As the video, can you guys kind of see what's going on? And by you guys, I mean Colin and one other person. Yeah, if I had a better setup, I don't know that I could actually improve this type of live work that much. Because normally I'm kind of finagling at all kinds of weird angles. So I don't know that would make for great entertaining video. Okay. So let us do that. Let's get this nice and stitched set up on that side. And then I'm going to try to, still looking good. I think that tip is going to be really sturdy. Yeah, I think so too. I suspect if it holds up, and if it doesn't, I will know exactly what kind of corrections I need to make to actually make one that will basically be a permanent fixture. So, yeah, normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm actually going to go underneath and use and start backstitching this, because I think it'll hold underneath. If it doesn't, well, lesson learned, and I will know to make a little slit next time, and then allow for, come on, there we go, allow for some underneath clearance somewhere for the thread to rest. Okay, can I kind of pull that out of there, give it a little more room to breathe so that I can bring it a little further inside? Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out super well, but we'll see. You know what? I might have to remove that. Still looking good. I think that tip is going to be really sturdy. Yeah. Okay, well, regardless, it is time for me to backstitch. So hopefully I can do at least one of those. It's funny. People that make saddles, they'd probably be like, you freaking amateur. I can't believe that it took you this long to do this. Because, like, it's funny. Like, if you're making a saddle, I've seen it done. You put a lot of layers of stuff, and then you do your stitching with, like, fairly big pieces, and then you cut off the excess. Which, you know what, frankly, is probably what I should have done in retrospect. But as they say, hindsight is 20/20. And I would have given myself more thread to work with, because I'm at the end here. And I am running out of thread. But you know what? I think we'll be okay. So which one of these is marginally longer? This one is marginally longer. So I'm going to go underneath with this one. And hopefully that stays in place. And you know what? It's not actually going to matter for this particular one, because once I have this all dried off, I am actually going to remove it, make sure that the metal underneath is still nice and intact, make sure there's no rust. If there is, I'm going to, if there is any hint of rust, I am going to scour that clean it off, and come on. Clean that off, put some oil, put some gun oil on it, and I am going to reseal all of this stuff. Yeah, definitely should have given myself a little more thread. You know, when in doubt, give yourself that extra. Saddle leather must be so thick. Yes, some of my armor pieces are made of saddle skirting. It's thick, but it's not as dense, if that makes sense. The really thick stuff, and I'll show you in a sec. The really thick and hardy stuff is this stuff. This stuff is called sole bend. It's what's used for soles of shoes. I don't know if you can see, like, more squishy. Kind of. It's like, I guess it's different parts of the cow, because, like, how do you put it? What's this in millimeters? So this is, yeah, that's nearly, so that's almost 5 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, can you see that? No. Yes. Yeah. So the bottom is millimeters, and you can see that this stuff is super, super thick. It's like been compressed, and a glue has been added to it, and that is what you use for the soles of shoes. Okay, so this one has a little bit more on the side, so we're going to just push that back through. Okay, so yeah, that's a little crooked. You know, let me just give it a couple whacks on the floor to kind of straighten it out. Now it's like crooked in the opposite direction. Is it just going to be crooked one way or the other? Yeah, I think there's a tiny little bit of play in there. Oh, it cracked. Well, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I might actually sand the end a tiny little bit to relieve that stress. And then I'm going to see if I can't... Yeah, you know what? I'm going to cut the excess thread off and kind of burn it into place. And then I'm going to sand the edges of this to make it a little more smooth. One, two, three, before. Get those lighters here. Okay. Lighter there. Lighter there. Oh, I'm totally out of frame. Dang. Okay. So bring this back into frame. Okay. All right. So I'm going to sand the edges a little bit. Yeah, that's like a little bit kind of off. Yeah, if I were to do this again, I would definitely give myself a little more room on the sides. But I think this is going to be good. Okay, so I'll do a little sandy here. And all we're doing is taking off the very top layer of the grain and kind of getting rid of that little crack there. Then I'm going to just bring these edges in a little bit. Oh, man, cracked my sanding pad. Was too enthusiastic. Ah, well. Yeah, when you're kind of gluing two edges together or stitching two edges together, because of the nature of the material, sometimes it kind of puckers a little bit. So you end up with a little concave part, and that is what you use the sanding for, to kind of make it so that it's convex and that you can smooth it. I'm not going to sand this so much that the thread is going to be damaged. You can see I'm kind of sanding it to the point where the edges are nice and exposed so that I can slick them. Yeah, all in all, I think this turned out pretty decent. It's not perfect. If it ever comes undone, I will know exactly how to fix it to make it better next time. Yeah, I use just I use an 1/8 of an inch less material than I think I needed on the leather. And it's not going to be a big deal. Especially if I had the pattern, had it all patterned out ahead of time. If I were a real professional, I would take measurements ahead of time and do like a mock-up and have a pattern ready. But I'm just some asshole in his basement, groping around in the dark, trying to figure this stuff out. Okay, that's actually looking pretty nice. You totally can't see what I'm doing though. Okay, so let's put that, raise this back up. Let me know if the field of view is good enough. And yeah, I'm just going to do some sanding here. Okay, move this back. Now, in theory, if I were wearing a respirator, I could do some power sanding. But just like sawdust, this leather dust is not great for your lungs. So I'm not going to be doing that. Oh, yeah, look at that. I think I may have... Did I sand through one of the pieces of... Yeah, I don't think so. No, whatever. Yeah, did I compromise that thread? It's hard to tell. I definitely didn't give myself enough on the edges to work with though. So next time, and I suspect there is going to be a next time, I will need to correct that aspect. Have to figure out a better setup for not only showing this, but doing this as well. Yeah, all things considered, this turned out quite well. And I'll definitely have to, like, I don't know if I do need a do-over. Like, I don't know, Colin, if you're still there, can you tell me what you think? Like, do you want to try it out as is? And you can give me some feedback on it? Because this looks pretty decent. I don't know, what do you think? Like, obviously it looks a little rough around the edges right now, but I will be slicking these off. Actually, just give me a sec, I'll grab my slicking tool. Should still have some moisture in it. Yeah, I think that's fine. It'll wear down a bit with use. Yeah, my only concern is that it's kind of twisted because the material, I'm literally off by 1/8 of an inch material wise. Like if I'd given myself 1/8 of an inch more material to work with, I think it would have been perfect. So I said I might have to redo this. But if I do, I'll know exactly exactly what to do so that it's real nice and good. And this is called a slicker. I'm just applying some friction to the ends of the fibers to compress them. And what that does is it helps to protect them. I'll give it a little bit of shine as well. If you think so, but we can also call this a trial run and see what happens. Yeah, I agree. So if down the line it does need fixing, I'm gonna archive this pattern. Maybe it'll be the first pattern I digitize because it'll be quite easy to do. And if anybody else, that way I can at least make it symmetrical. And if anybody else wants a self-install leather tip that'll basically last the life of the sword, then maybe I'll approach Sword Shop and include them. I don't know how well you can see that, but the edges, the grain on the edges should now be all sealed up. Yes, that looks pretty good to me. It's actually going to be kind of a shame that I have to take this apart, but like I said, I don't want your sword to rust. So I'm going to grab my heat gun and start blasting. Pew, pew, pew. I'm sure this is very exciting. going to rotisserie this for a while until it seems like it's all nice and nice and dry. Okay, I might just leave that for a little bit to rest. Let some more of the water kind of inside make its way to the surface. Yeah, it looks like there's still some moisture on the inside. So I'm going to put this heat gun in a little metal rack that I have on here, you know, for fire safety, or off to the side here for fire safety. I'm going to turn on a fan, and that'll help draw a lot of the rest of the water out of the top. And then I'm going to strip my longsword, and hopefully, yeah, I'm going to strip my longsword, and hopefully there are no horrors that await me underneath the current wrapping. Okay, so I'm gonna put this stuff away for now. Man, cleaning your workspace, I tell you, is a constant struggle, especially when you don't think of the order that you should be putting stuff away. Like, why would I put away my scissors before I've cut the remaining thread off of all of these little needles that I've been using? Like, who does that? Me, because I'm silly. And I don't. But you know what? That's okay. I thought about it before I put everything away. And oftentimes, succeeding is not about getting it perfect the first time. It's about how quickly you can correct your error and move on the path forward. Again, there's a third person here. I don't know who you are. But, you know, welcome to my live stream. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself. Like, I can't even imagine. Can I look at my metrics to see who it is? Probably not. Would that be weird? Maybe. I'd be interrupting your voyeuristic experience. Maybe it's better that I can't see you, you know? Okay, we'll put this off to the side. Actually put this stuff away. Put my gauge where it goes. A nail on the wall. Put my tuck tape off to the side. Until the next time I need to close up some paper barrier. Put that. Put this little there. Close that up finally. Okay. And close up my used, hollowed out Sennheiser box, or Sennheiser headphone holder. Okay. Put you off to the side, put you off to the side, put you in your container so I don't stab myself. I've done it before, and I'll do it again, I'm sure. Put that off there. Throw you in the garbage. Put you off to the side, away from the acetone, because, oh dear God. Take this off here. Okay, and now we get to see what horrors await us underneath this wrap. Oh man, this thing is brutal. You know what? I might actually need the heat gun to activate the glue on here and get it off. Or I could just be really rude and just like strip it off, which I think I might just do. Okay, so there's that. Okay, what are we working with here? It's kind of like a home repair. You know, you open up a hole, and then you say to yourself, "Oh dear God, this is not worth it. Why did I do this? There's things here that I didn't want to see, and now that I know about them, I have to fix them." Okay, so oh yeah, there's some kind of epoxy. Weird. Okay, well, hopefully I can glue that back in place, and maybe I can't glue that back in place. Maybe my sword isn't going to have a little ridge on it anymore after I'm done here. You know, that doesn't really bother me, because I find the decorative grips are Okay, it's got... Yeah, you know what? I might have to go grab some epoxy for this. How did they do that? Maybe you just glue it back in place. It's stuck to the inside of the wrap. Some of it. Okay. What do I do with this stuff? So I'm just going to toss it off to the side. Man, I gotta learn to pay more attention to this. Okay, so yeah, this is just kind of stuck to the inside of the wrap. This is a cord that is stuck inside here. Like, do I really mind that I'm gonna have... The trouble is, if I take all this off, then I have to... Yeah, what to do, what to do? Like, do I care that the handle is just going to be a uniform thickness? Not really. It'll certainly look unique, if not a little demented. Like, in theory, I could use leather to do a raised section, because, like, there's some wood damage right here. Like, I feel like I'm going to end up sanding this anyways. That is a lot of material to remove. Yes. Yes, yes, it is. But, like, it's tapered a little bit already. And, like, it looks nice here, but do I care? Because at the end of the day, like, the only parts I really use are, I put my gauntlet up here and I put my hand down here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I put my gauntlet up here and I put my hand down here. This is decorative, for sure, but is it really a functional part? Am I going to miss it? Like, now that I've stripped this off and I see how it is, like, if I had the epoxy to do it again, if I had it on hand, I would probably try to reshape it. But I don't know that I care that much. Like, it might just be easier. I know it'll be easier to just leave it as is. Do you have clamshells or do you use Visby gauntlets with Longsword? I use my Visby gauntlets with Longsword. Yeah, I think I got a pair of Spez Heavies early on, but I never really liked them that much. I got my Visbys fairly soon after. So yeah, I've always just had the Visby gauntlets. Like, I know the clamshells give better protection, but I find the Visbys are plenty. And at the end of the day, and this is going to sound super arrogant, I never get hit in the hands usually hard enough for it to matter. Like, the Visbys have so much protection. Like, the part where they're missing protection is on the inside. And since my hand is here and it's facing in this way, the odds of getting hit on the part that doesn't have the protection is so low that, yeah, it's never really been an issue. Yeah, you know what? Let's call it a happy mistake. Let's just commit, and we're going to call it a custom grip. So I'm going to take this off, and yeah, I am going to remove the epoxy, and we'll just kind of strip this down, and it'll be good. It'll be fine. This isn't a cope, not at all. I assure you. I have to replace the blade on this thing after, though. Make some finger notches like pistol grips. As hilarious as that would be, I would need to... Okay, if I had this facilities, I actually have some of this hickory stuff. But again, I would need epoxy. Like, I have the ability to plane one side flat, and then in theory, if I had like a bandsaw or something, I guess I could use my, it'd be a stretch. I guess I could use my oscillating, what do you call it? Oscillating multi-tool with a wood blade to kind of go down there. Yeah, this is this is one of those things. Like if I had known what I was dealing with ahead of time, I could have made some more preparations. But I honestly, like, it's nice, it's aesthetic, but I don't actually care that much about these ridges. So I'm just gonna call it a custom job and take them off. The difficult part is going to be, I'm going to throw on some goggles because I'm going to be prying this epoxy off, and I don't want the blade breaking off and shooting into my eye, and I don't want these wood chunks breaking off and shooting into my eye either. You can call it a cope, you can call it what you want, but this is what I've decided to do, and I am now committed. Probably shouldn't be drawing this toward myself like that. At least not toward my fingers. I mean, there's still a fairly scoopy notch right there. We could do kind of an in-between thing where I don't remove that part, but I kind of remove this part right here to make it kind of more flush. Because so far I have this and this. It needs taking off. Okay, yeah, I've got all that. I wonder what kind of wood they used here. Yeah, like I said, if I had the facilities and more knowledge on how this is actually done, I would definitely, you know what? I have not an oscillating multi-tool, but I have a rotary tool. So maybe we can try to kind of this down. But like at the end of the day, do I care? Whatever. I'll go grab my rotary tool and we'll see what we can kind of do with this. Great. Okay, yeah, I guess I don't really need that. What should I use on here? The 80 grit flap disc? Well, let's try. Okay, I'm gonna have to put in some earplugs because this is going to be a little bit loud for me, and I don't really like loud noises that much. Whoa, nearly 2 hours of this. Holy cow. Well, It's my loyal viewers that keep me going. All three of you. Again, I have no idea who the third person is. But I appreciate you. Thank you for your attention. As one weirdo on the internet to possibly another. Actually, you know what? Let me just plug this in over here. Why did I bother putting this power bar here if I'm not going to use it? Okay. See if I can replicate that on the other side. So this off of there. Another off of there. So you think it's great television? Okay, that's almost symmetrical, actually. Can't really see what I'm doing. I got to tell you, this is not what I expected it should be doing at this point. I'm covered in sawdust and epoxy. Amazing. All right. Okay. And now that flap disc is totally destroyed because I suspect that might have been the wrong tool for the job, but it's what we had on hand. And we do the best with what we have so that we can move on to bigger and better things. Is this stuck? Is this stuck in here now? Okay, no, good. Excellent. Okay, let's unplug this thing. Put it back in its case. Sorry about that. Again, I'm stunned that there are 3 people here. I was expecting maybe Colin and one other person. But regardless, thanks for joining. I'm just going to quickly run and put this. Okay, now it smells vaguely of burning in here, which is fine, I guess. Muted my alarm. Some water in my system. Okay, so this is the old wrap, and I'm going to put on a new one. Yeah, so mostly the epoxy is still there. Got a bit of a taper from here to here and got a notch here. So I'm kind of wondering, do you guys think it would be worth cannibalizing this old piece and using the leather from here as a wrap for this handle? This is another one of those things. It's nice, it's pretty, but I haven't used it in ages, and if it's just going to sit there and collect dust, it might as well be put to good use, is what I'm thinking. I don't know. What do you guys think? That would look really cool. I mean, it's going to be the pattern either way. It's just a matter of, do I have to make one from scratch? Or do I just reuse this one and put it on as is, and then just kind of use it like I say yes? Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. I was inclined in that direction to begin with. So let us get rid of some of this stuff. Get rid of those epoxy chips. Yeah, because like I said, I like this piece. Aesthetically, it's very pleasing. I learned a lot making it, like the tooling and all that, but it's just sitting on a shelf. And you can see it's not perfectly fitted. So I can use it to make something else nicer, which I'm going to do right now. So let's just open that up and start cutting these lacing loops out. Yeah, let's use some scissors instead of hacking at it with this X-Acto knife, which is no longer sharp because I've been scraping metal and wood with it instead of using it on leather. Okay. I'm going to end up with so much junk on the floor. That is fine, though. That's what vacuums are for. There we go. That's how we're going to do this. Nice and easy. See, we kind of correct as we go. We have an aim in mind, and we correct our procedure as we go. Oh yeah, you can see in here. It says dagger. Like any construction project, the front-facing side is all nice and pretty, but the inside is usually full of distance markers, cut markers, notes, all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that you would never know. Fun hanging out. Well, thanks. Gotta go. Thanks for the awesome work on my sword. You are welcome. Once again, tomorrow I might be doing another live stream where I might just do that on this same live stream. It looks like it's mostly ready. So you have a great night, and I will continue working on this stuff. All right, have a good night, Colin. I'm going to need to cut this straight across. And to do that, we're going to... how much of this do I need to let out? That'll probably be fine if I just bring it up to there. No, that is some edge damage all the way up to there. Okay, well, 3 it is. It was worth it. Okay. Well, in case you're wondering what saddle skirting looks like, this stuff is actually saddle skirting, now that I remember. And I am actually going to thin it. Oh, is this going to be able to wrap all the way around? Huh! It might not even be able to wrap all the way around. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think I have to thin it a fair amount. So I am going to get doing that. It always takes a little more material than you think. So if it doesn't work, it was my bad. Either way, it's better to have an imperfect living project than a quote unquote perfect dead one. Because at the end of the day, this stuff is meant to be used, and if it's not getting used, then it's not serving its purpose. Okay, so I'm going to use what's called a V-gouge to make some lines in here. And then I'm going to use what's called a French edger to remove a lot of excess material, which will make it thin and pliable enough, hopefully, to be able to wrap around the hilt of the longsword. And then I'll have a custom hilt of the longsword. It'll be great. Oh, oh. Okay, so just like that. That. I really should be using edge on maybe my ruler to get these nice and straight, at least as a reference guide. Try to get the lines the width that I'm looking for. Yeah, that works more or less. Now I know that it needs a little bit more finesse to get them just the right size. So I think that is, nope, that's not quite wide enough. Okay. So I use my French edger to just like freaking scoop out material from here. I'm going to have to take out quite a bit to get this thin enough. But my theory was sound, that I could use the gouge to create a guideline for the edger. So I might just end up doing that again. I'm getting warm. Yeah, and as this gets thinner, it'll be more able to be wrapped around the handle. Put that away because I'm done using it for now. Put these away because I'm done using them for now. Put this off to the side. Yeah, see, this is a little more the thickness that I need, but it's got a bunch of holes in it. So, grab this, throw it in the garbage. Using this gouge to prime the surface for the edger so that it can get a better grip. I probably shouldn't be freehanding it because it doesn't seem to be working super well. Yeah, a lot of these tools are meant to be pulled toward you, so they don't appear on video super duper. Oh no! Just totally gouged out huge sections of my crafting table. Oh well, whatever. That's what these things are for. See, this is what happens when you're not paying attention to what you're doing. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to have to do a significant amount of material removal on this to get it to where it needs to be. Oh, no. Shit. Great. Okay, this has possibly gotten a little too ahead. I pulled a big stupid and totally destroyed this, but that is okay. I know exactly how to make another one, and we learn from our mistakes. So I think I'm going to end the live stream there. I accomplished what I wanted to do, and I have a plan to finish off. I have a plan to finish off the longsword. Okay, well, thanks for joining me. And don't forget to be awesome. Or what is it? It's called being awesome. You should try it sometime.